My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Season 1 of Chucky. And this will be a spoiler-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, then come back and watch my review because I will be going in depth. Now, this is a show that's very hit or miss for me. I was enjoying it for the most part during the first half, but the second half, it takes a huge nosedive in quality, delivering with a very underwhelming finale, and the more I think about this show, the less I like it. That said though, it's still entertaining enough. Even though the show is actively awful in some moments, I was always entertained by it. But let's begin with one thing that I did like, and that's the opening credits. I loved how each episode began with the words Chucky on the screen, but they were spelled out in a different way. One episode used needles, another episode used hearts, and it just gave each episode a distinct feel to it at the very start, and I loved the music that was playing during those moments. The cast in the show is very hit or miss. The obvious standout to me was Brad Dorf as Chucky. Whenever he's on screen, he just brings the show to life. Whether it's him trying to be menacing or him being funny, he just has so much personality, and the show just is infinitely better whenever he's on screen. Another good performance was Fiona Dorf. Now, I wish she had more to do, but the material that she was given was pretty decent. I think she does a fine job in this show. The majority of the rest of the cast is fine, like Zachary Arthur, Borgvin Onison, Olivia Aylan Lind, Theo Brions. They're all fine. They're average for the most part. There's a few moments where they go below average, but I don't think there's anything impressive about their performances. Jennifer Tilly, I think she's a better voice actress than she is an actual actress, because I thought she was really bad in this show. She is way too over the top. I know that the character is meant to be hamming it up, but there's a point where you cross that line and it's just very annoying. You also got Christine Alice and Alex Vincent coming back, and they were absolutely awful in this show. Like, they're not good actors, even remotely. Like, they're really bad here. I like the majority of the characters fine enough. Jake's a likable enough protagonist. He's well defined, and he does have a bit of growth throughout the first half of the season. He doesn't really have much to do in the second half, honestly. But I think he's a fine enough character. I didn't like Devin at all. I thought he was really bland and boring. He didn't really add much to the show, and the relationship between the two of them, I didn't really care for. Like, it's fine enough in the first few episodes when it's just a crush, but once they actually start dating, the show's trying to make you think like it's this huge, grand, sweeping romance, and it's just not. Like, there's a few lines that just made me cringe. Like there's one moment where Jake and Devin are talking, and Devin's just like, I have nothing left here. And then Jake's like, I used to feel the same way, but you know what kept me here? You. And it's just like, what, really? Like, you guys didn't even talk back then, and I didn't buy that. And in the finale, you know, Chucky's just like to Jake, oh, your dad would have hated him. He would have hated Devin so much. And Jake's just like, no, Devin would have changed my dad. He would have changed him. And it's just, no, I don't buy it. It just comes across as very cringy. Lex is a character who I see lots of people still hate. I see lots of people saying, I don't buy the progression in her character. And honestly, I don't mind Lexi as a character. I think they did a good job with her. Now, I'm not going to say that the writing behind her is filled with depth and nuance. You know, it's nothing to the level of Abby in Last of Us Part 2. Nowhere close to that. But for the type of show this is, for them to embrace the cliches and the situations at hand, I bought it. Like, Lexi was so mean and nasty towards Jake at the beginning of the show. Like, she was just awful. But once she finds out that Jake was trying to get Chucky to kill her, she realizes that she hurt him that badly, that he was trying to get her killed. She's reflecting on her actions. Like, maybe I was a bad person. And then you got this whole situation of how they gotta work together to take down Chucky because no one else will believe them. And I do feel like that's the kind of scenario that would bring people together. I bought it. I found it to be believable. And I like the fact that they were trying to take risks with this character. So kudos to them. Like I said, it's not the greatest writing ever, but they did a good enough job with her. Then we got Juno, who I just feel like was completely wasted. He's not given the most to do until the last few episodes, and then they just killed him off So like, I don't know, I just feel like they wasted him. I don't think he's an interesting character until he does become interesting, and then he gets killed off. So yeah, I wasn't big on this character. Then we got the legacy characters coming back, which were not needed whatsoever. None of them were. They didn't add anything to this story. Andy and Kyle were just terribly handled. You're waiting for this grand show-off between them and Chucky, and you don't even get that. So it's just a baffling, awful decision for them to include them in the first place. They really didn't do anything throughout this entire season. They're just building them up. Like, oh, they're coming to Hackensack. There's going to be this big confrontation. And then when that doesn't happen, it just feels like they were completely wasted. Nika and Tiffany don't really have much to do either. They're just kind of there for the sake of it. I think Nika's an interesting character, but I don't think they did enough with her. And Tiffany was just terribly written. I love you, Chucky. And then next second, I'm going to kill you, Chucky. I'm never going to work for you again. And then she goes ahead and continues his plan. Just some terrible writing behind her. Like, really. Like, I don't think any of these 4 characters were needed. It was fan service, and it never became anything more. On some of the more technical elements, there was some interesting camera work here every now and again. Like, I like that one scene where Juno's killing his dad, and it's shot at a Dutch angle. And I thought that gave that scene a very unique feel to it. And there's a few other moments that did interesting stuff. There is a few good kills in this show. Not enough, but still some good ones. Like that scene where Chucky pushes the maid into the dishwasher with the knives all sticking up. I thought that was really good. Jake's dad getting killed by Chucky swallowing a bunch of alcohol, then puking it up as he's fixing the electrical box. I thought that was really weird. The principal getting her head cut off behind the scenes for the one school meeting. I thought that was really good. The one dude who was eating all the donuts, getting the powder all over Chucky, then Chucky gets mad and stabs him with the needles. I thought that was a really good kill. And that's about the only kills I can really remember. So there's a few good ones, but I wanted more. There's also a few funny moments, like Chucky is a really funny character. Like after he kills the maid, Jake goes up to his bedroom and Chucky's just sitting there reading a book, being like, "It wasn't me." And I thought that was a really funny moment. The flashbacks, for the most part, weren't needed at all. I like the first 2, but that's it. The first one appears in episode 3, where Chucky's trying to get Jake to kill Lexi, and he's trying to say, "Oh, come on, all it takes is one bad day." And then we see this story of this guy breaking into Chucky's childhood home. He kills the dad, and the mom tries to hide her kid in the closet, and you're like, oh, okay, so he's going to kill the guy in self-defense. But no, he actually kills his mom, so the killer lets him go. And you're just like, oh, he was always disturbed from the beginning. So it actually has a grander purpose there. It's not just like, oh, what's Chucky's first kill for the sake of it. It actually ties in with the main story going on. And then we got one where he's at the orphanage, or is it an orphanage or foster home or something like that? And anyways, he's with all these kids and he's recreating Peter Pan, and then there's this janitor that pisses him off. So he kills him and cuts off his hand, and he tells the kids that's Captain Hook. And that was just disturbing, and just it didn't tie in with the main story, but it was still a really good flashback. The rest added nothing. I don't think the rest were needed whatsoever. At a eventual point, I'm just like, okay, can we stop cutting back to the flashbacks? It's just taking up time now. So stop it. This season also does have some terrible decisions. Like, they killed off Devin's mom, the detective character, way too soon. Like, we were invested in that storyline. We wanted to see her piece together what's going on and to find out the truth. Because that'd be satisfying. And for her to get killed off before she can do that, I wasn't satisfied with that at all. I thought that was a terrible, terrible mistake. And then we also got Juno's mom, Bree, who has this secret. And the show's just like, oh, what's the secret? She's hiding something. Is it an affair? What's going on with her? And then it just turns out she has cancer. And it's just like, oh, that was the secret? But then after she tells her family that she has cancer, Chucky throws her out the window. And it's just like, so what was the point of all that? That just went nowhere. And then another awful decision that the show made was every single decision made in the finale. My god, that was a terrible episode. Like, from Tiffany and Chucky being reunited to Tiffany immediately killing him, and then the plan and just everything about the finale was just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Hated it. And what was the point of that one teacher? Like, they kind of hinted that she had a criminal past and that she was going to have a bigger role. But then she just disappears until the very end. And I just thought that felt off. Like, where was that storyline going? Like, why introduce her getting arrested if that wasn't going to have a purpose? So I don't know what they were doing there. And I'm going to go ahead and say that the first half of this show is by far superior to the second half. The first half had everything that I wanted this show to have. Now, I wasn't big on the part, but it set the appropriate pieces in motion. But it introduced the characters well, the conflicts. It was funny, it had some good kills, it was intense. The first half just had everything I wanted from a Chucky show, and plenty of Chucky. The second half just had none of that. Chucky's hardly present in the second half of this season, especially compared to the first half, and all the character work was present in the first half. With the exception of Juno, who got his growth in the second half, everyone else grew in the first half and just became stagnant for the rest of the show. You know, Jake being comfortable and confident in himself and standing up to Chucky, we got that. We got Lexi going from an unlikable piece of shit to someone who we could learn to like. We got Jake's and Devin's characters getting together. Just everything character-wise happened in the first half of the show. The second half relied more on the legacy characters who added nothing. And the second half mainly built to the finale, which was unbelievably underwhelming. And now, my thoughts on the rest of the second half of this show has gone down dramatically. Like, I think I gave episodes 5 and 7 a good review, and I don't know if I would anymore. The first half, I think I like more upon further thought. I think it was very entertaining, and I really enjoyed the first half of this show. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say how I wish the show went, the directions I wish it took. So I wish it was 6 episodes long, the first 4 can stay exactly the same, and then episode 5, they're looking for Chucky, they can't find him. So it's starting to mellow down a bit. You know, they're still on edge. They don't know where he is. And then we see that Chucky's with Juno now. And Jake starts to suspect that Chucky might be in his house again. And he can hear Juno talking to someone. And he starts to feel, is he with Juno? And how Chucky's trying to corrupt Juno. So then we get Jake. He tells Lexi and Devin what he thinks is going on. So in the season finale, they go to confront Juno. We can get some tense horror stuff here. And we can have the detective start to piece together what's going on. And then Jake goes ahead and decides to talk to Juno and tries to save him. And it looks like Juno's going to back down, that he's not going to kill anyone. But then he goes ahead and kills Jake. And then Chucky starts laughing like a maniac. We see all the other dolls come alive. And Lexi and Devin can be standing in the doorway, watching what Juno just did. And then that could be the end of the season. That's what I would have liked from this show. That's the directions I wish it took. Gavin, do you really want him to kill off Jake? I like it when shows have the balls to kill off the main character, and it would have had a grander purpose. You know, we got Jake. Chucky tried to turn him evil, but he said no. And then he wants to save Juno, but Chucky successfully turned Juno evil. And because Jake didn't turn evil, he paid the price for it. It would have been risky. I think it would have been great stuff. I would have liked if the show went in that direction. And they didn't need any of the legacy characters. It would have been a tight 6 hours. That would have been much better, in my opinion. That's how I would have made the show if I was in charge of Chucky. But yeah, this show was a letdown. At first, I wasn't sure what to think about. I love the Child's Play franchise, and the first episode didn't do a great job for me, but then I started to really enjoy this show, only for that enjoyment to drop in the second half of this season. I do think there's enough here. There's enough entertainment to be had. It's a very easy show to watch. It's not slow. It's not boring. It's entertaining enough. There are some moments where you can really see the potential here. There's moments with Chucky which are just fantastic. There was some intense moments, some funny moments, some creative moments. I wish we got more of those three things. I wish the cast was better. I wish some of the character work was better. I didn't really care about any of the legacy characters whatsoever. I didn't care about Jake and Devin. I'm saying a lot of positive and negatives here. The show is bumpy. It's very bumpy. But I think the strengths of the first half, and even though the second half is a huge dip in quality, there's still enough entertainment to be had that I'm still going to give Chucky Season 1 a 6 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Chucky Season 1? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.